Welcome back. It's time for Cash Tags. Alex Coffey in for Tom White alongside Kevin Hinks, co-host Fast Mark. But it's now our pleasure to welcome in the co-founder of LikeFoil.com to our show here. We got Andy Swan with us. Let's talk some airlines. Andy, I know you've been watching these type of trends for years and years now, and obviously consumers love to complain about their experiences on the airlines on places like Twitter. What's the latest on this space and some of the things you guys are following?
Yeah, I think the most compelling thing that we're seeing right now is kind of the consumer, the airline consumer, just accepting the new level of prices. You know, prices for airfare in general are up 16 to 20% from pre-pandemic levels, from 2019 levels. So there's a lot of reason for people to be objecting to this. But what we're seeing is really a lot less complaining about air ticket prices. And I think that's just emblematic of the consumer kind of saying, okay, this is the new normal. I think this gives airlines a lot of pricing power. It gives them some margin power that they didn't have before. I think the airlines have kind of figured out a new mode of business, and that is less flights that cost more money, that are almost always full, and that are, you know, profit centers rather than just getting planes around the country. And so when we look at that, we see that as very positive for the airline industry, that the consumer has adjusted to a new normal of higher ticket prices. And then for Delta specifically, we're really seeing, you know, continued dominance out of Delta in terms of consumer purchase intent mentions. That's consumer demand. You know, the number of people talking about booking a ticket on Delta or flying on Delta, that's near all-time highs, on its way up. And you would expect that, considering air traffic volumes are up 10 to 20% year over year on a daily basis, according to the TSA. But Delta outpacing even that, which tells us they're grabbing market share from the rest. And so, you know, overall, I think Delta's in a really good spot here. The stock has performed well this year. We think that there's more upside for this stock because the trend of the consumer traveling more doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. And the fact that Delta is able to, you know, just kind of get away with getting more money out of that consumer wallet for every flight, I think bodes well for this company.
Andy, you know, we talk about a lot on this show how each of these airlines has their spin on the wheel, being incredibly unpopular, and then they get less unpopular. But Delta seems to significantly, consistently dodge that. Ed Bastian is a very positive CEO, always presents the information to the markets in a positive way. But here's the stat that I think is key, and I want your comment on this. Premium consumer household wealth, which is the top 40% of income earners in this country, they went up by $27 trillion since the 2019 in the United States. So they are wealthy, and they're more wealthy. Delta is focusing on premium customers and high-end travel, and that's exactly playing into this demand, this catch-up, passenger catch-up that leads to higher demand and keeps it there, because everyone thought this would run its course, and it hasn't slowed down at all. But Delta's focus on these premium customers, these high net worth individuals, seems to be working, Andy.
Yeah, and that's working across every industry. We're seeing, you know, we come on this show and we talk about, you know, the consumers' credit cards getting maxed out, savings being depleted. Well, that's talking about a certain segment of the population. That's not talking about a segment of the population that flies on Delta. The segment of the population that flies on Delta is doing very, very well. And, you know, it looks like we'll continue to do so. So I think Delta, focusing on that luxury kind of experience, that higher end experience, the more expensive experience, is exactly the right play. And when we look at consumer happiness levels across the airlines, you know, the only ones outperforming Delta at this point, Delta's the fourth one down and at 67% happy. The only ones outperforming them are the more regional ones like Hawaiian Airlines or Alaskan Airlines, where people are going on, you know, really nice vacations. But compared to American, Southwest, and United, Delta is absolutely dominating the pack. And so I think your point is very valid. They're targeting the right customer, and they're doing well by that customer, and I think that's going to continue to grow the consumer loyalty that they have.
Andy, you talked about how resilient this space has been and how it seems, despite maybe some of the doomsday headlines that we read, we're still getting on airplanes and we're flying around and these flights are full, even if there's less of them available, and some of the disruptions are a little bit more disruptive when there's a little bit less available flights. But because of that, I guess I want to ask you, assuming that there is some sort of decline in the economy, we hear about it, we don't know if it's going to happen, but there seems to be a lot of smart people saying that something is going to decline because of what the Fed's doing, because of whatever reason we want to describe. Is this a sector of the market or the economy that tends to fall off a cliff if things are to get a little bit worse, or does it taper off kind of slow but steady? From your experience, is this something that can shift quickly, or is it something that kind of just slowly but surely falls off?
Yeah, it slowly but surely falls off, slowly but surely grows. We're in the second category there. The exception, of course, is when the government shuts everything down. That can really disrupt things. But in terms of just general economic cycles, these things in the airline industry tend to take longer, and what typically impacts airline stocks more or makes them more volatile is the cost of energy. And so we don't have a lot of foresight into that. What we can say, though, is that the consumer is very strong. And I would actually say, from an economic standpoint, just generally speaking, it really feels like we're entering. There are now two economies. There's an economy for the haves, and there's an economy for the have-nots, and those are going in very different directions. And I think Delta's focus on the right one.
Good stuff. Yeah, Andy, it seems, too, that some of these tough tests that a lot of these companies had to go through with some of those shutdowns, possibly in spite of the fact that maybe they're more heavily debted, they had, lost years, they came out more nimble. They came out a little bit more lean and possibly a little bit quicker to react to tougher times as well. So we'll see. Great stuff as always. Thanks to the co-founder of LikeFlow.com, Andy Swan. Kev, it's time to talk a little bit